welcome back to my knitting podcast. This is the Knitted Creations Knitting Podcast. My name is Elsa and this is episode number 4. In this podcast I talk about everything that is related to knitting, and sometimes I might even mention something with crocheting. However, mostly I talk about knitting. If you find my YouTube to be enjoyable, please give it a subscribe. It would really help me out and I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you in advance. All right, let's get into the knitting part. I think I will start with the obvious. Since last time, which was a few weeks ago, I have had my vacation, so I've had a lot of time of knitting. And as you can see, I have a finished object on me now. It's a project that I made during my vacation and it went by very fast. I think I knitted this one in 2 weeks or something like that. What I'm wearing is the Sevilla Blouse by Petite Knit. It is knitted with 5mm needles and it's ranging from sizes XXS to size 5XL. So it's 10 sizes, so it's very size inclusive. I really enjoyed knitting this sweater, or blouse I should say. I think I might say sweater, but not intentionally. It is a blouse, so if I say sweater, please remember that I mean blouse. But this is a blouse. It's a summer garment that Petite Knit released very recently. It is knitted with like summer fabrics such as Sannes garn line and tyngline. So for this project you're using 2 strands together, so you're holding Sannes garn line and Sannes garn tyngline together. So you knit this whole garment with 2 strands together and on 5mm needles. Since it's quite a big gauge, you have 5mm, it went by very fast to knit this for me, and since I had my vacation, it was a lot of time to knit for me. I'm very happy with the finished result, and in my last episode I also talked about another blouse that I had recently made, which was the blouse number 1. So I made this blouse almost back to back from that blouse, which was very fun for me to knit those 2 back to back, so I could compare them a bit. So this blouse, it's knitted like a drop shoulder. So what you're starting by knitting the back by doing like a rectangle, and you're knitting a big rectangle basically until you hit the length that's required for your size. After which you pick up stitches in the front. So you pick the stitches up from here to create the shoulder, and then you do a cast on here. And when you're doing the cast on here, you're doing the backward loop cast on. So you do a lot of cast on stitches on the needle before you come to the other side of the rectangle when you pick up stitches for the next shoulder. And after you've done that, you do a few German short rows on each side to create this neck, I guess here for so that you have like a few extra rows here for the shoulders, so it has like a better fit. I found this pattern to be very easy to follow. It's a very enjoyable pattern according to me. It's a stockinette project. It's quite easy to follow along, so if you're a new knitter, I think it would be a very good pattern to choose from if you want a sweater that's not made out of wool, if you want some type of summer garment. Yeah, so the sweater is after you have joined here in the front, and then you knit down to the same length as you did in the back, and then after that you join in the round and you knit in the round for the whole body. And I usually try to finish the sleeves before I finish the body. So I put the body, like the stitches to rest on the body, and then I knitted one sleeve each because I find it easier for me to try on the sweater and decide what length I want the body to be on when I have full length sleeves. If it's a full length sleeve type of pattern, of course. So I actually opted to knit the sleeves first, and then I chose to finish the body afterwards. And I am very happy with the result. After you have done the sleeves and the body, you actually pick up stitches to do a few rows for the neck edge here. So there's like a very like small neck edge that you add after you have finished the body and the sleeves, which creates this very nice boat neck. I really like the look of a boat neck, and I think that's also a reason to why I chose to knit like 2 boat neck type of blouses back to back. And as I said, like in the last video, I talked about the blouse number 1 from My Favorite Things Knitwear. And I would say like the main differences, if I were to compare them, is that blouse number 1 is knitted in the round throughout. So you are starting by the cast on edge, which will also end up being your neck. You have the option to add, I think, an I-cord or something. It's not an option I did, so I'm not completely sure, but you have an option to add some type of neck edge if you want to. I did not, so you have you're starting on the cast on edge, which is also my like neck edge, and then you knit in the round, and then you create the increases for the sleeves, and then you put the sleeves to rest while you knit the body. So there's a difference there, that this is more of a drop shoulder pattern because you pick up stitches for the sleeves. There's also a few differences in like the shapes of the sleeves. My Favorite Things Knitwear, she has more of like a bell-shaped sleeve. So you do a few decreases throughout the sleeve, and then you do an increase at the end of the sleeve to create this more of an opening for your hands. So it has more of like this bell shape, whereas the sleeves for Petite Knit only has decreases. I did a modification to the sleeves on this pattern. I chose not to do the last decrease, so I think there should be like a decrease somewhere here, I think. But I chose not to do that. I don't really know the reason why, I just didn't do it. I think I like when it's a bit loose, and I should also say that I knitted the 3rd size of this blouse. I had intentionally thought, my plan was to knit the 4th size of this sweater or blouse. But when I started I actually started that size, knitting the back, but I just thought it looked huge. Now I don't know if it was something with my gauge when I started that like that size, but it just felt very, I mean, too big for me, so I chose to rip it out or frog that. I hadn't gotten that far. I think I've only knitted it on like one evening or something, so the rectangle was not a rectangle, but it was like maybe I've got this far or something. So I frogged that, and then I started over, but I knitted a smaller size. So this is the 3rd size, and I think maybe that's a reason to why I chose not to do all of the decreases in the arms, because I like it when it's not so tight on the sleeves. So yeah, I don't know, that could have been a reason. So, and also another difference with the My Favorite Things Knitwear and Petite Knit is that Petite Knit has this rib, both on the sleeves but also on the body. So you end the stockinette part by doing a very small rib. On My Favorite Things knitwear, you don't do any ribbing, you just end up doing the like the cast off after the stockinette part. So those are a few differences. I would say that the feel of the sweaters are very different from each other, and I think it's because the Sevilla Blouse by Petite Knit is the suggested yarn is to use like a thicker yarn together with a thinner yarn. So in my case, I used the Sandnes garn, line and Thynline, but in my blouse number 1, I think she recommends like 2 thinner yarns together. I didn't knit the blouse number 1 with the suggested yarn. I knitted it with the yarn I had in stash, and I just bought a few balls extra so that I had enough to knit a sweater, because my intentional plan was to knit a t-shirt with that yarn, but I chose to knit a sweater or blouse instead. So I knitted the blouse number 1 with 2 strands of Thynline, and the Sevilla blouse with 1 strand of Thynline and 1 strand of line. And I think that the feel is that this one feels much thicker compared to the other blouse that I have. I also think I made this one much longer than I did with the blouse number 1, so they feel completely different to me. Even though it's summer, if it's hot, I cannot wear this sweater. You see, I'm saying sweater all the time. I mean blouse. So if it's very hot outside, I cannot use this blouse, but I can actually use the other blouse. But I think that's actually something that I wanted, because I wanted it to be, I didn't want it to be too difficult for me to choose which blouse I want to use. It's more weather dependent, I'd say. So if it's very warm outside, I could still use the blouse, but it would be blouse number 1. And if it's a bit colder, I use this blouse instead. So today it's a bit colder. I think it's around 19 degrees Celsius right now, and we are in the beginning of August. So yeah, I think that's the update that I have on my Sevilla blouse. The color I used, I feel so good in this color. I really like this color, and it brings me happiness when I see it in my wardrobe and when I wear it. It's the color, let's see, the colorway is 4335 from Sandnes garn. I think it's beautiful. I think this color is very, I don't know, I think it's a color that you can use almost all the seasons, I'd say. It's something you use during summer, autumn, winter, and spring, according to me. Yeah, so I'm very happy with this. I'm so glad that I made something with more color, because I made the blouse number 1 in this pearly white-ish beige color, but this one is for me it looks like a berry mix of berry, like forest berries or something, and I'm really glad with this color. I'm very happy overall with this whole pattern, and I will insert some videos of when I'm trying it on. Yeah, I think it looks very good. I still haven't decided what I like to wear most with this sweater, if I like to wear it most with like pants, or if I like to wear it with a skirt or over a dress. I've tried all of the 3, and I really like all of the 3, so perhaps there is no like special type that fits best to this blouse. Yeah, overall very happy, as I usually am with my finished objects. But that actually brings me to another finished object that I made that I was not very happy with. So last video I was talking about a gift knit that I was making, and it was for a girl in our family that turned 1 year old, And when I was recording the last video, I was talking about the seaside sweater, which is a pattern by Petite Knit that I had almost finished the whole body, and I only have the sleeves left. I did a very frustrating mistake on this sweater that I couldn't save. So what I made when I did when I made this sweater is that I actually it's actually quite sad. I had finished the whole body, which has these stripes, and before I wanted to knit the sleeves, I chose that I wanted to sew in all of the resting like tails that I had from the sweater, like when changing all of the colors. So when I sewed in all of the like yarns that were as like a tail, I accidentally cut into the sweater at the top of the sweater, which meant that I created a huge hole which was in at the top of the sweater almost. It was so frustrating, and I was so mad with myself because I was very proud of how far I've gotten with this gift, and I was very proud that I only had the sleeves left. So this is the seaside sweater that I started for her. I used the Drops Daisy yarn. I think it's the color pistache and beige, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the mistake I made. I did try to save it, but I cut a hole. I didn't intend to, but I did. My scissor is super sharp. It has like a very pointy edge. So when I was sewing in here, I cut too far down and accidentally cut like into the stitches. So yeah, this I've saved this sweater I don't know, for future use, because I think I might be able to save it later on. But yeah, I was super frustrated that I actually, I destroyed it. Well, not really, but I just wanted to finish this cute little baby sweater and give it as a gift, because I gave her sister, the one who turned 5, I gave her a silly sleepover, and I wanted to knit a sweater for the younger sister, because I didn't really want to knit, the same thing. But since I did this mistake, I didn't want to give this one as a birthday gift, and I did not want to rip it up, and I did not want to restart this. So I actually opted to knit Novice Slipover, the baby version, or maybe it's called the mini version. So I knitted a Novice Slipover for the birthday girl who turned 1 year old, and I actually used the same yarn as I have in this sweater, and I chose to do a few stripes as well, because I had both the green and the beige colors left. And I gave that instead, and I'm very glad with that slipover as well. I mean, it's a very nice, good transitional garment that she could use between perhaps like autumn and winter, or between winter and spring. So I think it's still a very good like garment to use, but I was very sad that I made this mistake. However, I have saved this one because I didn't want to throw it away. So I've saved this one, and I think I might, I don't know, do something with this in the future. I might do some type of patchwork, or I might do some type of like embroidery here or something, just to make sure that the stitches won't come up. Yeah. It was quite sad actually, because I bought the buttons for this cute little sweater when we were in Barcelona, and yeah, so I still have the button saved, and I still have some leftover yarn, but as for now I think I will just leave this one in a box and see what I will make with this one in the future, because I don't want to throw it away. But yeah, that was the seaside sweater that I wanted to make, but instead I made the novice slip over for her, and I can insert some photos of that project. So that's like a you know, knitting mistake slash finished object that I've made. Something that I was very frustrated about, but it turned out good in the end, and I knitted because I had extra yarn to knit a slip over, so I just did that instead. And it went by very quick because it was a baby knit, so it wasn't you know, a huge adult sized sweater. So I think, you know, that's at least one positive aspect of it. It was a baby knit, it wasn't an adult knit, so I'm glad that yeah, at least there's that. So moving on from finished objects to whips. Alright, so all of my knits that I have that are my work in progress right now that I'm going to talk about are gifts, and I will show them, but I will just say that if you are my father-in-law, stop watching now. Okay, now I've said that, I can talk about what I'm working on. Speaking of vests or slipovers, I did actually plan on knitting a slipover for him. So I've actually started the novice slipover for men. It's in this beautiful brown color. It's Sannes Garn Per Gynt. It's one of Petite Knit's colors. I think it's color 3091. So novice slipover is Petite Knit pattern. It's like a very basic slipover pattern, super easy to knit. It's stockinette throughout, except for like these edges for the armholes and for the neck, which is in 1x1 ribbing. It's do you say drop shoulder, even though it's not like a sleeve, full sleeve? Perhaps, not exactly sure, but what you're starting with is the back when you're knitting back and forth, and then you pick up stitches for one shoulder and then for the other shoulder, and then you join in the front, and then you knit the front panel until you join in the round. So that's how far I've come, and I've also made the details for the neck edge and for the armholes, because I think it's easier for me to visualize if I finish these like details before I finish the body. So yeah, I am knitting, I think I'm knitting the third size, and so far I think it looks quite small, but I think it will grow a bit when I block it. So I'm not worried for this. I mean, I didn't do a gauge swatch for this project, but I have gauged swatch Per Gynt before, quite recently, and I hit the gauge. I think it's 20 stitches, and I don't remember how many rows, but for like a 10 centimeter square, I know I've hit the gauge before. But I've actually asked my husband to try this one on along as I've knitted this one, because I just find it looks quite small when I'm knitting it, but I think it will grow a lot, and it's just a slipover. It's not a full sleeve sweater or something, so I don't think it will be too small. It just looks smaller than I thought it would. But yeah, so that's one of my whips that I am working on at the moment, that I am going to gift my father-in-law at his birthday. His birthday is in the beginning of September, so I still have a few weeks to finish this one. And yeah, so I am making this, and I'm also making another thing for him. And I actually talked about this one before, but now I've started it. In my first episode, I talked about a hat that he asked me to knit for him. And I've now, since then, I've started the hat. He knows he's getting one of these hipster hats by Petite Knit, but I thought it would be a good idea to make it together with the slip over and then gift them like together. So I'm knitting the hipster hat as per his wish list. He wanted me to knit this one for him in this color, so he chose this color, which is 4010. The yarn I'm using is also Sandnes garn in Sunday, yeah, I think it's a very nice vibrant color. I'm just realizing all of the patterns I've been talking about and all of the yarn I've been talking about so far has been like almost only Sandnes garn and Petite Knit patterns, except for the baby knit, which was knitted in the drops yarn Daisy. Yeah, but yeah, I really love knitting with Sunday. It's super smooth, and this pattern is actually also very, I don't know, I mean, even though it's only like 2x2 ribbing, it's still very nice pattern. You're starting the whole thing with a tubular cast on, and it was my first time doing a tubular cast on. It was quite tricky doing it the first time, I'm not gonna lie, but if you really like try to focus and put your time into it, it turns out great. So yeah, I'm very glad that I got to learn and try something new. So I am knitting the hipster hat in this color. He has like specific dimensions he wants the hat to be in, so I've took the measurements of one of his other hats that he has, because he says he wants it in the same length as that one is. So I'm going to knit this shorter than it says in the pattern, and then I'm going to do the decreases. Yeah, so those are my work in progress that I have at the moment, that I'm working on like full time, both of them. I still have the breeze bag as a whip that I talked about in my last episode, but I haven't had any time to work on that one, so I mean, I don't have any progress to show you from last video, because I tried to finish these one as soon as possible so that I can finish all of my gifts. Whew, these are like, it's been a lot of gifts that I've been making, so I look forward to finish these gifts. Yeah, so I think those are like the whips that I have that I'm gonna talk about, and the next segment is gonna be acquisitions and future plans. I have some very fun things to show you. I recently actually did an order for some sock yarn. So there's this hand dyer in Sweden. I think she's based in Skavsta, and she sells a lot of very cute hand-dyed yarn, and I just did an order on her website. It was the first time I did an order, and I'm very excited for them. I haven't done anything to them. They are still in like this is this cake? No, skein. I think this is called skein, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is the yarn I ordered. It's her like website is called Fru Fjällman. So the yarn is Fru Fjällman hand-dyed yarn. I ordered it in the same merino sock, which is the 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It's 400 meters per 100 gram. So I bought one skein of both. The first one is in this color, which is like, it's called cinnamon. And I think it's a very good representation of like a cinnamon color. It's very nice brown color, and I am so excited to knit socks with this one. I think I have decided that I want to knit socks with both of these ones, but I might change my mind. I think that like there are no huge like variations in this yarn. There might be like a few lighter parts somewhere, but otherwise I think it looks the same almost all over. However, I'm very happy with the color. The other skein I bought is called Shady Jade, and it's in this like almost like a bright pistache color. It's super beautiful. It has a bit more variations than the brown version has. So I'm very excited to see how these will turn out when I start to knit with them. So they have like a few, this one has like a few lighter and darker parts on it. Yeah, so Fru Fjällman has very nice hand-dyed yarn. I can really recommend that website. Go check her out. I don't know where she is shipping, if she ships to other countries as well. I'm not exactly sure, but if you're living in Sweden, I can really recommend this one. So what am I gonna knit with this one? I actually bought a book full of sock patterns because I think that I really want to, or like I have a wish that I want to get better at sock knitting. I haven't had any like very good experiences with sock knitting because I tried to make these the vanilla socks from the Crazy Sock Lady, and I don't know, I did like this mistake where I did the long tail cast on too tight, and the cast on is, you know, on the rib part by the leg, so it's in the beginning of the pattern when I have like this very tight cast on edge, so it's hard for me to get it, you know, on my foot. So I don't have very good experiences when it comes to sock knitting. I don't know what I thought when I did that, but I haven't given up yet. I still want to try a few other patterns. So I bought this book, The Sock Project. It's by Summer Lee. It's like a pattern book. It's a book that has a lot of tips. How should you think when you're knitting socks? It has what should you think when it comes to sizing, etc. So it's like a perfect book with some overall tips. So it starts with like a few pages where she's going through like the different types of heels that you can do, and then she has a few patterns for that, and then she's talking about sizing and fit and what type of yarn and needles, etc. you're supposed to be using for knitting these types of socks. I found 2 patterns in this book that I really want to start knitting quite soon. I want to knit a lot of the patterns in this book, but I'm gonna show you the patterns that I want to start with. The first one is called the Surf Wax Sock. It's a very nice pattern. It looks like a sporty sock almost. It has like these stripes here at the top, and then it has a bit of a texture, but the texture is only like a knit and pearls, so it's not going to be too difficult for me, I think. I'm very excited to do that one. Another pattern that I really want to knit is called the murmuration socks. Murmuration socks, yes, exactly. So the other pattern I really want to knit is this pattern, which is full of like laces. I think it looks super beautiful, and I haven't decided yet. Perhaps I will do that pattern in this color or not. I also have this old hand-dyed yarn from a brand called Nutritious that I bought at a yarn festival, which is I think it's the same type of mix between like superwash merino and nylon. I don't remember the percentage exactly because I haven't saved the small label where it explains, but it's in this very cool color. It has a lot of speckles of like purple and blue and brown, and it has like a base of beige almost. So I might do like the sporty surf wax socks with this combo, or even this combo. And I might do the other lace socks in either of some, maybe this one or that one. I haven't really decided yet. So those are a few acquisitions that I have, both the book but also hand-dyed yarn, and very excited to do something with those and to get better at sock knitting. So in my last episode I also talked about sharing a bit of the yarn that I received the same day as the last episode for my sweater number 14. I think I'm gonna save that for the next podcast, because I think that my next episode will be a fall knitting plans episode. So I will not share that now, and I will talk about it in my next video. And I think that's it so far. I think that's all the updates that I have at the moment. And if you have made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot. And if you enjoy this, please give it a subscribe. And I hope that you like it. And please, I want to hear from you. So if you have any comments or tips or anything, please feel free to comment and reach out to me. I also have an Instagram. It's called Knitted Creation. I usually share more there and more frequently than I do here. Yeah, so if you made it this far, thank you very much. I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Have a great day. Bye.